What is going on? Preferred Streams back with stream number 4. We have Ron DeSantis sending troops to the southern border. Also, tonight we have DOJ charging 2 individuals. We have Sorority suing universities, dream hacking, and many more, many more. Stay tuned. We have a bunch of articles lined up for tonight. Starting off with Ron DeSantis. Governor Ron DeSantis is sending 1,100 National Guard soldiers and law enforcement officers to Texas to assist with the border security between the United States and Mexico. This is a power play by Ron DeSantis because he will be announcing his election. I believe this is one of the biggest assistance moves he's made regarding deployment of the National Guard troops. Furthermore, this article states that the Republican governor said he's sending 800 soldiers, 200 Florida Department of Law Enforcement officers, 101 state troopers, and 20 wildlife officers. They'll also be sending 5 planes, 17 drones, 2 command vehicles, and 10 boats. So we're sending a whole Florida fleet to assist with securing the southern border between Mexico and Texas. Furthermore, this article states that state and federal officials have been concerned between the possible surge in border crossings after the pandemic era asylum restrictions ended last week. It says DeSantis previously sent support to the U.S. southern border in Texas and Arizona in 2021, following requests for assistance from the governors of those states. So obviously, he's made moves like this in the past. Clearly, again, with the election bid coming up, soon to be announced, if not announced already, he he needs more voters. He needs more demographics of voters. And right now, with our president, uh, really walking back on restrictions, DeSantis is stepping up to the plate and saying, "Hey, no, 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 I'm sending my guys over there to do what you don't want to be done." I'm curious to see what other states will follow suit with DeSantis. I am expecting at least one or two. I can't really state those states, but with the presidential bid coming up, there's going to be a lot of fair competition when it comes to eyes on the border and who cares the most about securing the border. Continuing with the article, it says in a written statement, the Fish, Florida and Wildlife Conservation Commission states that FWC officers have the experience, training, and specialized equipment to be particularly effective during emergency deployments, especially in remote and water environments, and have provided assistance to law enforcement partners along the border in Texas in 2021. So he's sending a hit squad basically to go down there and lock shit down. You know, and again, I'm curious how many other states will back him. How many other states and their governors that are looking to run will try to compete with what he's doing. Maybe they'll send more guys and go, "Hey, I secured the border better." Um, it says that the agency said it would send 20 of its FWC officers and 2 mechanics to Texas to assist federal, state, and local agencies with response efforts for deployments that will last 14 to 16 days. Deployments could last a little bit longer than that. I expect them to last about a month, but we'll have to track and see. Continuing on, DeSantis, who is expecting to announce his candidacy for the 2024 presidential race, has made immigration a major issue during his time as governor. So again, he needs more voters. He needs more demographics of voters to secure his place. Um, Not sure if Trump is gonna run this year or this upcoming election, but you know, DeSantis isn't. I don't think he's going to be people's first choice. But with this news now, it really kind of bumps him up, like checkers. Now he's in the media, strong arming the border when again, the Biden administration could care less. Uh, Furthermore, the article states last week DeSantis signed a law sweeping immigration bill that bolsters his immigrant relocation program and limits social services for immigrants lacking permanent legal status. And we had an article lined up, and I don't know if it made it on tonight's stream or not, but there's a lot of homeless veterans now because they were displaced due to, immigrants coming in and getting the hotel rooms on a stipend. And the hotels are making up to $100 a night per room on 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 what's going on here. So it is unfortunate that our veterans are now put out to, you know, other people because of money, because of greed, and it sucks. Homelessness and with our veterans shouldn't even be a problem in our society today. And the fact that it's just being pushed under the rug like this isn't right. It's not fair, and we need more people to step up and say, this isn't right. This isn't right. Aside from everything going on at the border, we should always take care of our veterans, especially our homeless veterans, who are the most at risk. And the fact that our government's turning a blind eye because of money is sickening and ridiculous. But what do you guys think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think that these people coming over here also need a place to stay, and that it's right that they're taking basically shelter and their livelihood away from them, from these veterans who have nowhere else to go? What do you think about DeSantis sending troops down? 1,100 individuals is a lot. Are you uh, a part of this unit that's been called to service? Let me know. Let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think. We're going to move on to the sorority sisters. Sorority sisters are saying that a trans woman gets aroused in the sorority house, in which this person actually doesn't live there. Um, Crazy. It's crazy. I think we've just gone too far. Um, and to appease everyone, we've had to turn a blind eye to the most ridiculous things. I think that diversity, inclusion, and equality is important, but we also have to make sure that the lines aren't blurred between absurdity and tolerance. We've tolerated up to this point, and now we have to step backwards. But let's look at this article and see what it has to say. It says a group of sorority sisters have filed a lawsuit against their college after a trans woman was granted permission to move into their sorority house. 7 members of the Kappa Kappa Gamma sorority at the University of Wyoming have called on a judge to declare the membership of a 21-year-old Artemis Langford void and to award unspecified damages, according to a lawsuit obtained by Cowboy State Daily. So this person, Artemis Langford, is really arousing himself around a group of girls, and they're like, they obviously feel so uncomfortable that they're this matter up to the school. It says one of the members have asked the sorority management to ensure the house is preserved as a female-only safe space, and the number of members raised concerns of shared bathroom facilities which have no locks. And that is the person in question, Artemis. And it says that Artemis doesn't currently live in the house, but has been granted permission to move in from September. This is according to Facebook. The lawsuit states an adult human male does not become a woman just because he tells others that he has female gender identity and behaves in what he believes is a stereotypically female manner. Miss Langford, who is 6'2", does not currently live in the house, but according to the residents, has spent a significant amount of time there and has been granted permission to move in September. So obviously they're raising concern. They don't want Artemis moving in. It makes them feel uncomfortable. Obviously, it goes beyond their safe space, their boundaries, because they feel like this person identifies as a male. Um, and the way that he's portraying it is in a way that takes advantage of others in certain situations. In this situation, obviously, it could be said that he's a man just portraying to be a woman to be allowed into these places so he can do some things or look or whatever. But that is a major concern with a lot of people in society today. Let's just be real here. It does make people uncomfortable. It does make women uncomfortable when you have a 6'2" man who has makeup on and acts like a woman, but to them there's still that manly figure, that overpowering figure. So, as a father and just as a person, I can understand where these women are coming from. It says that the women have filed a lawsuit and have claimed that Miss Langford has been visibly aroused in their company. And some of the sorority members told Megyn Kelly's podcast that residents felt uncomfortable and in constant fear in the house when she's present. One of the members, Hannah, told Kelly, "Men are never allowed on the second floor of our apartment from moving in and out." Well, um, men are never allowed on the second floor of our house apart from moving in or moving out. So it is only female space and not like living in dorms. We share just a couple of main bathrooms, but it's supposed to be a safe space for us to rest our head at night. Another member, Jalen, added, "All the bathrooms are shared spaces and there are no private changing areas or locks. It's very open and vulnerable. So these girls should feel safe where they are." As stated more than once, there's no locks on the bathrooms. It's to them, it's as safe as possible. And I mean, if you got no locks on a bathroom, you got to feel pretty at home, right? And it even says right there, it's very open and vulnerable. And here are the women, sorority members, told Megyn Kelly's podcast residents felt uncomfortable and in constant fear when Artemis Langford was present. It's a double-edged sword because we also have to think of Artemis's perspective. Um, Everyone has a right to do as they choose. If Artemis wants to transition, they have every right to do so. But he has no control and had no control of his body type, his body shape, his weight when he was born. So, you know, people that are bigger, they still obviously have the same opportunity as everyone else to go through a change, but that doesn't necessarily change their figure completely. You know, he might lose some mass, but he's still going to be 6'2", if that makes sense. So, it's a double-edged sword because Artemis wants to change. He feels comfortable in the body he's in now, or maybe didn't before, and now, he's taking the steps to feel comfortable in the body that he was born in, but he can't help his size. And maybe that alone is what is intimidating these sorority members. Who knows? It could very well be because he is much bigger, he's taller, right? And that just naturally might be intimidating. The lawsuit alleges that the fraternity council betrayed the central promise or purpose and mission of Kappa Kappa Gamma by conflating the experience of being a woman with the experience of men engaging in behavior generally associated with women. And, again, everyone's got a right to be comfortable in their body. But again, if you're trying to game the system to your own benefit, then it should be exposed. It should not be allowed. And safeguards should be in place so, situations like this, prevent to happen further down the line into the future. The sorority had held a vote on whether Miss Langford should be admitted, but several members claimed that the president and membership chair of the chapter dismissed their concerns. The opponents of Miss Langford's admission were allegedly told by another member of the sorority, quote, "Regardless of what political views are, our Kappa views are accepted, and kindness is as if that is something that you agree with. That's not in line with Kappa values." The leadership of the sorority told members that if they did not have any issues with Langford, they can drop out. So they're basically saying, hey, if you have a problem, you can just leave. The women told the podcast that they understood that trans women need to be protected and have their own safe space, but argued that trans women, such as Miss Langford, moving into their home is not the answer because now you're inflicting, um, you know, more strife amongst the group of people that are there. The majority of people feel uncomfortable. So even it's like I said, a double-edged sword. We do have to accommodate, and diversity, inclusion, and equality is important here. But once other people feel threatened or unsafe, we have to step back and figure out how can everyone feel included? How can everyone feel listened? How can everyone feel like they're protected? And I think that's really important. We can't just let this go. We can't just uh kick this person out of the sorority house without coming to a constructive conclusion on situations like this. And I'm talking about within our society, not just within Kappa Kappa values, not within the university or locally. I'm talking about nationwide, countrywide. I'm talking about worldwide. There just needs to be a basis of ethics when it comes to these situations so that morals are upheld and people don't feel left out. DOJ charges pair, so two people, with stealing technology for China. And, you know, China has so much of our information already. It's like what else can we give them? What else do they need that they don't have already? Um these guys are gonna get the chair. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. They're not gonna get the chair, but they're probably gonna get a long time. We'll probably never hear of them getting released. Uh, when it comes to trading secrets or selling to China, unless we can't use you, you're usually gonna be gone. You'll be erased. Just vanished, locked away, and throw away the key. Unfortunate, but it is what it is. Moving on, we're just going to push past this article. Students suspended after recording video of teacher using racial slurs. Now, this caught me um, by surprise, but after investigating, it could be logical why the school suspended the student. But at the same time, if the teacher's cutting up, then everyone has every right to record what's going on. That's only to protect the students. Article says the mother of a sophomore at Glendale High School in Springfield, Missouri, is speaking out after her daughter was suspended from school for 3 days after she recorded a video on her cell phone in geometry class of a student reportedly using a racial slur. 15-year-old student was identified by ABC News as Mary Walton. We'll just call her Mary. By her mother, Katie, was informed of her suspicion on Friday after a student was shared on, or excuse me, after a video was shared on social media, and she is set to return to school on Wednesday. So that's today. She's set to return today. She didn't understand why she got suspended because, frankly, she did the right thing. Family attorney Natalie Hall told ABC News. She saw something happen in class and she felt the need to document the indisputable evidence of it. In a 59-second video, which was obtained by ABC News, looks like this girl got a teacher defending being able to use the N word. And it looks like she used the N word, or he used the N word twice in an exchange with a student that occurred on May 9th. Quote, is the word N not allowed? The teacher who is initially speaking of off camera asks. I'm not asking right now as a teacher. Oh, I'm just asking right now as a teacher. If you keep your job, that's not a threat from me, an unidentified student says. I'm not calling anyone an N-word. So this guy obviously he hears it maybe in rap videos and he just thinks because it's a word of a culture that he can say it without repercussions. Furthermore, the article states it is unclear what happened before or after exchange. The teacher, who has not been identified by the school district, was initially placed on administrative leave and is no longer employed by the Springfield Public School District in Missouri. Looks like Josh Graves, the principal of Glendale High School, addressed the incident on May 9th in a letter to the community and staff and said the school took immediate action. So they fired him, but obviously they had to suspend the student for maybe breaking a policy for recording or using the phone in class. But maybe we'll find out through the article. School states we are aware of Glendale teacher using offensive derogatory language during class today. Video of the comments is being circulated, and we have received several calls from concerned parents. I want you to know comments expressed in the video are inappropriate, inexcusable, and do not meet the professional standards for Springfield Public School employees. According to Hall, Mary shared the video with her mother and a friend, as well as one of the students in the video, but said that Mary did not share the video on social media. They claimed that the school never asked Mary whether she shared the video on social media before she was informed of her suspension. And it looks like the school clapped back. Student discipline is confidential per federal law, and Springfield Public Schools cannot disclose public specifics related to actions taken. The handbook is clear, however, the consequences for inappropriate use of. Okay, there we go. So they got her for using the phone inappropriately. Uh, right there says that the consequences for inappropriate use of electronic devices. Any consequence applied per the scope and sequence will also consider if minors were identifiable in the video and if what hardships are endured by other students due to the violation of privacy with the dissemination of the video in question. So basically, they got her for recording without strictly asking for permission from everyone in the video if she could record the video. Mary is set to return to school on Wednesday following her 3-day suspension. So obviously, the school is going to refer back to the student handbook no matter what, but it is kind of shocking because you don't typically hear of students getting suspended um, for catching a student or a teacher, substitute, or anybody cutting up in school, whether that be, fights, bullying, weapons. You typically don't hear about the student being suspended. So that's pretty surprising. But in my opinion, it could go both ways. The student feels that she was in the right, but the school feels like, maybe she broke the law. Maybe you need express permission from all parties to record, whether that be video or audio. So, as appropriate, they just followed suit with the student handbook. But it is good to hear that the substitute teacher is no longer employed. We don't need those type of people with that type of mindset teaching our kids. But let me know, what do you guys think? Do you think that the school was too much, too excessive? Do you think that you know the school should have come down harder on the student? Do you think that she should have not been punished at all? Let me know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I personally think that the school went too far, but again, if you broke the law when it comes to recording and express permission, then obviously they had to follow up with their own lawyers to figure out how they can show that they disciplined without just wiping it under the rug. No one wants a lawsuit for a stupid video like that. It's unfortunate it had to happen, but hopefully this teacher doesn't set foot into a classroom for a long while. For a long while. So moving on, we have a U.S. Army soldier. This article states a U.S. Army soldier opens gate to let a huge horde of migrants onto private Texas property. But as you read through the article, it actually states that they are not with, the Army. So looking at this, it says security footage taken along the U.S.-Mexico border in Texas showed a U.S. soldier opening a gate to let migrants in just days after Joe Biden let Title 42 expire. Uh, it says a 1-minute clip shows a female Army officer standing by as a horde shuffled onto private property Monday morning. She said it had done so at the direction of the federal government. So she takes orders directly from the federal government. My thought is she is a some type of federal agent distilled, deployed specifically to that area, even though it's private property. She was deployed there by the federal government because they knew that was maybe a entry point, a weak spot, a common crossing area. But typically, federal agencies will dress similarly to the field forces that are there. They'll just have different insignia, but generally they will take command from their federal superiors directly, and Marines, typically Marines not won't engage in this type of situation. They more deal with embassy protection, consulate protection, but in this instance, looks like we have the National Guard, State Guard. So federal officers will dress in that similar attire. So it could be misconstrued that she was an Army officer because she is an officer rank, but just again following at the direction of the federal government. Uh, we have a video, but we're not gonna play the video. The article kind of just explains exactly what happened. Again, it says a 1 minute clip shows a female Army officer standing by as the horde shuffled onto private property Monday morning. She said she had done so at the direction of the federal government. This video comes just hours after Biden cheered a drop in border crossings since the end of Title 42 with a swipe at the media. When asked by reporters how he believes things are proceeding after Title 42 expired, Biden responded, "Much better than you expected," with a chuckle, which is just insane. It says, according to Malengan, and I just butchered that name, but hey, it is what it is. The Texas National Guard confirmed the female seen opening the gate on the video is actually not a Texas soldier or a Texas National Guard member. I'm told she is a Title 10 soldier from the Missouri ARNG under orders from the federal government and working with BP, according to Fox News. Also says that the video posted online sparked outrage among Twitter users who blasted her actions. "I'm not against immigration. Our country was built on it. It's our strength. But I'm not an all-out of control invasion. Oh, excuse me. But I am not for an all-out control invasion of immigrants to serve nefarious purposes of an illegitimate government," one user wrote. "Thank God there's a camera there so we can watch them all come through in a nice, orderly fashion," another one said. And I mean, I thought it was kind of sus that we just so happened out of all this nonsense with border crossings and the end of Title 42 that we're able to get this footage, right? Figure out who the female officer is. Basically get her orders all from a 720p video. It just doesn't make too much sense. Like I said, obviously she was planted there because it was a common crossing, a weak area. And even though it's private property, just like easement rights, they have a right to enter whenever, there's a necessity to. Um, so we don't know who actually gave that federal order to let them in, but that, you know, just this video alone, just this whole article, if we take a step back, to me personally, this just kind of feels more baity, more so of a setup, because, out of everything going on, there's got to be hundreds, if not thousands, of private property cameras recording this with DHS monitoring, all feeds. But you're telling me they were able to get this woman's information within a matter of what? And it would have to be hours. It would have to be hours, or at least 2 days. It would have to be 2 days at the most. So, fishy, but obviously, if we look at the articles covered, we can kind of see what is meant to get a rise or a reaction out of us. So anyone that is, someone that is against what's going on, obviously they're going to be on the fence because they see this and they go, "Hey, this is exactly why we had this in place, and now we have apparently one of our own just letting them in." It kind of reminds me of the January incident where we had video of one of our own, right, just opening the door and letting them in, just walking out of the, moving out of the way and, directing them to go down a corridor. So, history is bound to repeat them, itself. We see it in media all the time. We have to look at the breadcrumbs, piece it together, we get the whole cookie. But when I say that, I mean, they give us pieces of the pie and it's just scattered and it's mixed with truth, it's mixed with lies, it's mixed with bullshit, it's mixed with everything. But no matter what, the truth is out there. And as long as we have the discernment to weed out what we shouldn't focus on, it'll be easier to kind of put the pieces together on what the common narrative is. And right now, this is the biggest narrative right now is protecting our border. And these people coming in, veterans getting kicked out, DeSantis sending troops. It's all a power play. It's all like an emotional drama. And the second that you can step back and realize that this is, then you won't, be affected as much. It won't play at your heartstrings like they want it to. They want to get a rise out of you because they want to see you at the next election. And again, like I said, this video, actually, I'm just noticing on the date, the timestamp. Okay, so 2 days ago, 8:57 a.m. So they had less than 40 hours to figure out this feed, the time of the feed, like exactly when they crossed. They had to find out exactly who this person was, all within 48 hours. You know, so just put that in perspective for a moment, and let me know if that makes sense. Let me know if that is fishy to you, because it's fishy to me. Um, with everything going on, stuff like this that's just kind of placed in your lap, you should always take a step back and realize if we're being played or not. And I think we're being played. I think we're being played off of what's going on just to get a rise out of us. You know, you know. So moving on, I thought this was pretty neat but scary, right? Because if they're this says scientists built device that can hack dreams just like Inception. And this should be concerning to anyone because if they can hack your dreams, that means they can hack your thoughts, right? So once that becomes a reality, it's going to be hard to figure out if our thoughts are even ours, right? You thought about, you know, going to vacation, maybe seeing in-laws, maybe going to the gym or doing stuff for yourself. But what if the government has control of what you think? That should be concerning. That's concerning to me, you know. This article keeps going into nighttime mode for whatever reason, dark mode. So let's see if I can help. Let's see if I can get this going. And I'm gonna try because this was a really interesting article. Let me see if I can pull it up. All right, let's see. So this was released yesterday. It says scientists help volunteers unlock their creative potential through targeting dream incubation. They created a device called Dormino that could help guide participants through targeted dream incubation. It says the study was built off an earlier study by French sleep researchers. Short naps can help someone's brain come up with creative solutions to problems, especially when they're guided to dream about a particular topic. Scientists from Harvard University and Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, published a paper Monday in the journal Scientific Reports that found that power naps can do wonders in unlocking people's creative potential. The scientists said that determined the scientists state that they determined that when people are prompted to dream about a particular topic during the sleep phase, they perform much more creatively when they are later asked to perform tasks surrounding that topic. The inception-like process of hacking dreams is called targeted dream incubation. So this is just a start. This is just the start to, you know, all the sci-fi movies we see about controlling dreams, about, Inception, Tenet. You can control the reality, right? If you control thoughts, you control this person's reality. You can control anyone's perception. Um, so just this thought alone that MIT and Harvard researchers are at this point going to be working and perfecting this type of technology of dream hacking should be very alarming, and we should at least figure out what the objective or goal is overall for this type of technology, because it can be dangerous, if someone, a bad actor or bad government, you know got a hold of this type of technology and used it on the populace. You're think about the entire populace thinking and dreaming of one thing, like a hive mind. That is scary. You no longer are yourself. You're just a shell, ghost in a shell. And everyone, whether that be go to work, you, perform work for the government, um, work in production, work in plants for like a war. Um, it is alarming because you would, in a sense, you would lose your humanity because your thoughts are not yours, right? When you dream, your dreams are not yours because they're directing you towards a certain topic or a certain thought, or maybe all you see is like 1984, obey, consume, obey, consume. um Pretty scary. It's pretty scary stuff. Especially because if we have the wrong people in power that want to use this technology, it seems like they would have the access to do so. Or obviously the highest bidder would. Continuing on, this article states that the new paper was built off an earlier study in 2021 by French sleep researchers who found that participants who woke up from hypergonic sleep were more likely to solve math problems. In their study, researchers tried to determine whether the same transient sleep state could also work with more creative tasks such as storytelling. The researchers created a device called Dormio, who could be used to that could be used to be that could be used for targeted dream incubation. That includes a glove connected to a smartphone or laptop app that measures three physiological markers of sleep: changes in muscle tone, heart rate, and skin conductance. As a participant enters hypnagogic sleep, the app prompts them with a specific dream topic. Just before they enter the next stage of sleep, the app will wake them up, ask them to report what they're dreaming about, and record the responses. One of the goals of the group is to give people more insights into how their brain works. It also what their cognitive state is and how they're able to influence it. During the experiment, the researchers split up 49 participants into four groups, with one group given a Dormio device and 45 minutes to nap, and prompted to dream about a tree. Another group was given a device, but napped, but was not prompted and only asked to observe their own thoughts. The two groups remained awake. After the two groups finished their naps, the scientists asked all 49 participants to write a creative story about including the word tree. They found that the group with the most creative stories about trees was the one that prompted by the app in their dream. Meanwhile, the group that took a nap but was not prompted had the second best output. The creativity of the stories were judged by people who read each one and were not told which group wrote the stories. So, like I said, this could be a very dangerous technology because it could move us towards a group think, reality where your thoughts, your dreams, your goals and ambitions are not actually yours. And that should be alarming. I hope that more people kind of read this article or find out what's going on here and push for more transparency with this type of technology because it can be dangerous. Can be dangerous. Moving on, this is big news. U.S. Embassy staff reported killed and abducted in Nigeria. This is big news. The Biden administration has confirmed that four people, and mind you, these are not American citizens, but still, these are people employed at the U.S. Embassy. Again, the Biden administration has confirmed that four people have been killed in the attack: two police officers, two embassy personnel, and three have been kidnapped. The first vehicle in the convoy was set ablaze, along with the bodies of the four killed. Two operatives were also kidnapped from the second vehicle. None of them were killed. None of the people were killed. Um, or kidnapped were U.S. citizens. It doesn't take away from the severity of this incident. I think that we'll hear more about what's going on within the next day or so. This is relatively new for our time zone, so we should just pray for the people affected over there, and I'm hoping that our administration tackles this effectively and swiftly with the best of the best that we have. If we can get them deployed. They're probably deploying right now and investigating the region and bringing these men or these individuals to justice. Furthermore, this article states, as a publication reported previously, United States National Security spokesperson reported that the U.S. convoy came under fire in Nigeria. It was also reported that no U.S. personnel have been killed. However, according to the Daily Trust, local Nigerian media and officials have confirmed that 4 U.S. Embassy personnel were fatally shot in the attack. At least 4 persons were killed in the attack, while others sustained injuries. Troops have taken over the community, a security source told Daily Trust. Following the information of the shooting incident within the community, the commissioner of police have deployed this police team led by Deputy Commissioner of Police in charge of operations to arrest the situation. So I'm assuming they're leading their own task force to bring them into justice. But I know for a fact the United States has their own response team that responds to incidents with the U.S. embassies and consulates. I'm also surprised that the Marines were not on site. They're typically on site at these buildings. Uh, I'll have to do a little bit digging and to figure out why they weren't on site, if this just wasn't a post for them to be located at. But if they're on site, they would have killed these invaders on site. Um, Unfortunately, people did die. We'll have to, wait and figure out more information as it comes out. Uh, eh, Furthermore, the article states the Daily Trust has received non-confirmational statement from the U.S. Embassy. We confirm that there was an incident on May 16th. U.S. Mission Nigeria personnel are working with Nigerian security forces to investigate. Security of our personnel is always paramount, and we take extensive precautions when organizing trips into the field. We have no further comment at this time. This information raises several serious questions concerning the event, and further confirmation is needed. According to the Daily Trust, their source has not responded to further questions concerning the incident, leaving this competing narrative between local Nigerian authorities and the Biden administration. Obviously, we're not going to get 100% truth from the Biden administration. Um, this is just a tweet here. Some staff of the U.S. Embassy in Nigeria have been shot dead. It says sources told Daily Trust that the convoy of the embassy officials came under fire as they were passing through the area. So this wasn't at the embassy, but this seemed like it was a mobile caravan with embassy officials inside vehicles. So it does make sense. I did ask, typically we would hear about Marines on site, but it would make sense if this was a caravan that isn't static, uh moving from the embassy, moving in the field, moving uh anywhere in that region. It may or may not be common to have an escort of Marines. Another big news coming from Samsung. Samsung presses ahead with central bank digital currency technology. uh we just had our Governor Desantis, push out I would say directive, a law. I'm not sure exactly what they're called. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he signed a bill into law, basically outlawing CBDCs in Florida. Now, to me, it's like, I don't know who you're trying to appease. Again, I know with the election coming up, you want to get various groups of people, various groups of demographics. But in this case, Samsung is way ahead of the curve here. Their projections for their technology are more than half a decade out. So to outlaw central bank digital currency out of the state just makes you look stupid because now we're behind for and until it's either vetoed or someone else comes in and just does away with it. But as of right now, you know, we're gonna be behind, the race. Texas is trying to come out with their own gold-backed central bank digital currency. The state of Texas is trying to do that. You're telling me our governor, Governor Desantis outlawed it, central bank digital currency to be used in Florida. I may not agree with the state of the dollar where it's going, and I'm not going to necessarily talk on it, but we all know that the central bank digital currency is in the talks. It could be in our future, and to limit the state um, from these types of transactions, I don't know if that's really protecting us because unless Florida is going to come out with Texas and say we're going to have our own digital bank currency, it just doesn't make sense. That's like outlawing the smartphone, and we have to go back to the Nokia brick phones with no type of data because you want to protect Florida citizens from data breaches, and you care about data privacy, so you outlaw smartphones. um, it just seems backwards. And like I said, obviously he's trying to appease different groups. He's trying to appease different minorities. He's trying to round up as many people, as many groups from different corners of the voter ballots possible. That way he can come out on top. Um, Samsung, like I said, is ahead of the curve. So the fact that they're already playing this type of technology means that the system is already in place, and Samsung is working, and we should see Apple follow suit. We should see Apple follow suit. I would say within the next year or so with the same type of technology. Um, it would just make sense because if it's already going to be commercialized, then that system would have to already be in place for Samsung to build their technology around it, if that makes sense. So just like the social credit score, everyone says, it's not going to come, it's not going to come, or it may come, it will come. Eventually, it will happen. But before that happens, the system for the credit score has to be implemented, the actual framework of it. So the social credit score in the United States would never happen until that framework is laid out first. So just like that, the central bank digital currency for the United States, it's the framework is already laid out. And this article tells us because it clearly says Samsung presses ahead with central bank digital currency technology. So it's a technology that can work off of the framework. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you think Apple will follow suit. Let me know if you think DeSantis is an idiot. Let me know what you think all around. I mean, we've covered a variety of articles today, but this one here is all telling. It tells us that the central bank digital currency framework exists, and they're ready for technologies. They're ready for companies like Apple and Samsung and other big players, even maybe Roku, to build their technology for the central bank digital currency around what's already present. So we all, people say, and I used to say, hey, we have until 2025, we have until 2030. We might have until 2024, you know? If Samsung is telling us now that they're pressing ahead with the current technology, does that mean the phone? Does that mean the chip? Does that mean the BIOS? What does that mean? Whatever that means, it means that piece of technology is communicating with the CBDC framework. I won't be surprised if I see Apple follow suit within a year. I won't be surprised if within the next year and a half, I would say by 2024 Christmas, we get some type of new device, new frameworking device that can reach the CBDC framework. I'll have to follow up with this. I'll reach out with Apple and see if they're also pressing with CBDC technologies. But if Samsung's coming out with this, then it's only going to make them a target in the race, right? Right. Moving on, um, this kind of just piggybacks off of what I just said. Texas lawmakers consider creating gold-based digital currency for use by anyone, anywhere. So this also makes DeSantis looks like a babbling buffoon because you now put us backwards. So even though people don't or disagree with going towards a digital based currency, it's going to happen no matter what. Just like when people that were counterfeiting money back in the early 90s, they saw the changes in the dollar bills coming after 2000, in the new millennium. And they had to change their methods, but it's not like they could resist by printing more fake bills of original nature. They just adapted with the times. So even though we see this coming in the horizon, we just have to adapt with the times. Why? Because it's the only way to survive. Uh, Article says some lawmakers and experts say that there are reasons to distrust the federal digital dollar. Um, I mean, honestly, any type of digital currency is going to be tracked. Any type of digital currency is going to be linked to you and your digital wallet, whether that be your social credit or not. Um, that privacy goes out the window, and I don't know if people are ready to move over to this new system, but the system's here, and more states like Texas are coming out and they're just saying, no, we don't agree with the federal system. We'll create our own. But at the end of the day, it's still on that same framework I just mentioned. So you can use that same Samsung phone and use a CBDC for Texas or through the United States of America. It will work either way. Why? Because it's tied into the same framework. Article says going forward, a worker polishes gold bullion bars at an ABC refinery in Sydney, Australia. Okay, that's got nothing to do with Texas, but we'll just, whatever. Texas could become the first state and nation to issue its own digital currency based on gold and silver. The Texas Senate could vote on Senate Bill 2334 this week, a similar bill in the Texas House, House Bill 4903, which did not advance. If the Texas digital currency proposal becomes law, money could be spent with a debit card by people anywhere in the world, not just in Texas. Furthermore, the article states the measure would create an illustrative, an alternative to federal digital dollar, an ideal, and I apologize because I guess night mode is turned on and I haven't found a way to turn it off. I'm kind of just reading, through the dark. So just bear with me. A measure would create an alternative to a federal digital dollar, an idea currently being considered by the federal government because of the directive of the President Joe Biden. Okay, so obviously Joe Biden's like, hey, the framework's being built. I have to let everyone know this is what's coming. That's really it. Okay, he's just a messenger. He's got to let everyone know what's coming. He's even though people don't want it, he's got to let everyone know, hey, this is what it is. And states should have a right to choose if they're going to go with a backed CBDC or state funded CBDC. And if they go with a state funded CBDC, how is each state going to back their own? Do we have enough gold and silver to go around? Or no? Does Texas have enough for just Texas? Like, how are they getting theirs as opposed to Florida, as opposed to like Oregon or California? How is that going to work? Moving on to the article, it says some conservatives has said a fear of digital dollar could be manipulated by U.S. government and used to spy on account owners, possibly controlling how and when they can spend their money. Okay, so again, it goes back to that framework. Everyone, they focus on the government spying on them, the government controlling their money, the government just looking up and saying, hey, this is so and so's account, and I can go and look at every penny they've ever spent and track it down and figure out where that penny was handed off to. Okay, it doesn't matter who can do it. it's on that same framework. So if the federal government can't do it, the state of Texas and its representatives can. So let that sink in. You know, Texas CBDC is no better than the federal level. Why? Because it's off the same framework. It has to be. It has to be tied into the same framework or the same frame to be able to use it, anywhere. Texas is saying, "Hey, you can have ours, but you can still use it anywhere." What difference is that from the federal level? Let me know. Let me know what you think, because I think that even though Texas is coming out with their own, there's still no freedom of choice. Just like red on blue, Republican and Democrat, there's still no freedom of choice, because at the end of the day, the outcome is the same. So again, with the article, under the proposed law, the Texas comptroller will create a digital currency based on gold or silver and will be given the authority to mint pure gold or silver coins based on weight. The coins in the digital currency would be considered legal tender to pay debts and would be readily transferable to another person. Under the plan, the digital money debit card could be used anywhere debit cards are accepted. There was no provision to eliminate the use of the federal dollar in Texas. The use of the state's digital currency would be optional and in addition to the U.S. legal tender. Under the proposed bill, people outside of Texas could create accounts and use the system wherever they live in the world as long as it's legal. So it says how it would work. Under the Texas law now under consideration, the Texas comptroller would be required to create a mechanism to use the new gold or silver based digital currency in the everyday transactions for goods and services. There is no mechanism to create because that framework already has to exist. They can't just out of the blue say, "Hey, we're gonna create our own." No, I mean they can, but they'd have to still fall back on the original framework to do so. Furthermore, continuing with the article, it states that the state comptroller or a trustee hired to oversee the program would purchase and hold enough gold or silver to cover the units of digital currency set aside for each account holder. The value of the digital currency account would fluctuate depending on the current value of gold, which is now hovering around $2,000 per ounce. So I'm going to leave the article at that because there really is no difference. I mean, it's giving me facts on how Texas would operate on their own. But again, as I understand, that framework would still be tied in to the same framework the federal government would be using. So at the end of the day, CBDC it's all tracked, it's all traced, it's all monitored, and we're just gonna have to accept it. We're gonna have to move into this new age, and just understand that no matter how many choices we get, just like they said, they're gonna give you a debit card, so you won't even notice that you're transacting with CBDC. But no matter how many choices, no matter how many options you're presented, it's still on that same framework where it will be tracked if they need to track it. And they will figure out where you're spending that money. It will be on an analytic tracker where they can predict when you'll spend your money and how you spend your money, or you don't spend your money, and how you skip over ads so you're definitely not spending your money. I mean, all that works together. And the sooner that we realize that there really is no freedom of choice, the easier it will be to kind of, not be drowned out by all this information. So, you know, we covered a lot today. We covered Samsung. We covered dreams, which is, crazy to think that we're one step closer to a hive mind society. We've covered student being suspended for being, you know, maybe illegally recording in school. I mean, who knows? But he was suspended or she was suspended, and that teacher is no longer a teacher. Hopefully for a long time. And it's unfortunate that our society's come to what it's come to, but at the end of the day, we've asked for it, and we're getting exactly what we've asked for. We've covered the sorority sisters. We've covered Desantis saving the South. We covered a lot, and I had fun covering for stream number 4. Hope you enjoyed the stream. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that like button, share out the video, subscribe. Follow me on YouTube and anywhere that you're listening to this. I mean, you'll find me on a few platforms like Odyssey, and I'm trying to branch out to a few others. If you have any other suggestions on where I should stream my content, go ahead and let me know in the comments. Other than that, I appreciate you and your time. Thank you for listening to the end, and you have a good one. Take care. See you for stream number 5.